Hey, and welcome to another Tech Tuesday. This is Chad from Ascension Worship. A few weeks ago, we talked about how to set up a post-fade mix for your broadcast or stream or recording that you're doing from your church. This week, we're going to go one step further and tell you how to make your pastor sound better in that mix. So hit the theme. Hey, what do you say? Yes, it's that time again. It's Tech Tuesday. So this week we're going to be employing a few different methods that we've taught over the past several months. If you're new to Tech Tuesday, at the end of this video, if you're watching it on YouTube with a computer or an iPad, you'll see some pop-up windows for some videos that you can watch about double patching, post-fade record mixes, and DCAs. So we'll try and make that really easy for you if this is new to you in any way. But what we're talking about this week is if you have a small to mid-sized church and you've got one console, preferably digital, and you're trying to get the most you can out of that console, and you've gone into doing streaming or recording your services, and you want to make it just sound as best as you can for the recording and as best as you can for the live room at the same time, how you can kind of squeeze the most out of that. And one common problem I find is, especially with headset microphones or lavaliers, as we did a video earlier about ringing out microphones, it takes a lot of EQ sometimes to make those microphones sound good if it's a kind of not amazingly expensive microphone and you're having to deal with a live room or a quiet speaker. There's all kinds of things that you might have to do where the EQ will make the vocals sound good in the room, but if you listen to the recording mix, it might sound a little bit unnatural. So this is a way you can have the same microphone go to two channels. We're gonna have one for live and one for the record or stream or broadcast, whatever you want to call it. So I'm gonna show you today an example of one that we did at a local church this past weekend. We were lucky enough to be asked to provide worship and some audio at a local church with an apologetics conference. It was really cool. And they had a clip-on lavalier microphone that they were using, and a decent microphone, but when you put it up flat, it was just not great sounding. So we had to do extensive EQ. So like we did in our previous video a while back, we brought out 31 band EQ, pulled out the frequencies that were causing feedback and pushed it up and pulled out some more, and carved a lot of EQ out of this microphone to make it sound good in the room. And it did sound very good in the room, but on the recording, again, I put headphones on and it was just kind of okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you on our scene how we set that up. So this week, like most weeks, we are using the Behringer X32. This is the editing app that we're looking at here. This is not only going to work for the Behringer board. This will work for pretty much any digital board that's going to have the things I'm going to show you today. So if you're on an Allen and Heath or a Yamaha, don't turn this off. This is still going to be useful to you. It's just going to look a little bit different. So pay attention to the concepts more than the look of it. So what I have right now is the headset channel selected. And this was from when we were trying to use one channel to control both live and the recordings stream that was going on. So what we're going to do is we're going to just hop right in. I'm going to copy these settings over onto one of these blank channels over here. And so we can start to kind of separate their task. So first thing I'm going to do is copy and paste. If you, on the Behringer board, this is approximating what would be on the window. Whatever you see on the window at that time is what's going to be copied when you do it. So if you're looking at the EQ and you hit copy, it's only going to copy the EQ. So first thing I'm going to do is hit home. So I see all my settings at once. Go over here to this utility button, hit copy, click on the channel that we want to copy it to, and hit paste. It's asking me if that's okay. Yes. And there it is. Right now, almost all the settings are copied over onto here. The two that aren't happening are one, the EQ, the 31 band EQ, because it's a rack effect, that is not copied over to here. And two, DCA assignments that we'll talk about later, that is also not copied over here. So that's actually fine. We're going to work through this in a moment. Let me go ahead and name this something different. So I'm going to click Setup, Scribble Strip. And we're just going to call this Record Headset and give it a different color. I tend to make, oops, sorry, I got the wrong channel selected. So the live one is over here. It's in green. This one's going to be Record Headset, like that. I'm going to put that in red. Red signifies to me, hey, don't mute this. This is important for ears or for recording or whatever. All right, so now let's take a look at where these are going as far as going to the house or not. So I'm going to select my record headset mic, and I'm going to go to main and remove it from the left-right mix so we don't hear it in the speakers. And then you should see if we go to the headset microphone for live, it is in the main mix. That's great. We want that. Next, now that it's not going to be coming out of the house speakers, let's go ahead and make sure that the proper input is going to this. As a default, right now, this is set up to receive input 29. So if I click on my config tab, I can see it's receiving a source of input 29. But if I go over here and look at my live headset, it's actually coming from input 13, which in this case was a local input at the back of the board, not coming from Digital Snake. So I just want this same information to happen over here. This, again, does not copy and paste, so you have to do this manually. So I'm going to go over to my record headset and just select channel 13 for my input. And we're done. Now, anytime the speaker speaks, it will show up in both the live channel and the recording channel at the same time. The analog gain is linking those two channels, so you cannot change it for one without affecting the other. So do keep that in mind, whereas pretty much everything else is going to be its own settings on the board. So now let's take a look at our sends. We already looked to see what was going to the front of house and what wasn't. We're going to select our record headset. I'm going to click on Sends on Fader. And I'm looking at all my buses here. You can see the band had some of that microphone in their ears. Let's go ahead and cut that out. They can just listen to the live one. And the same on here. What we do is we want to keep it in the record mix. Now we're going to click on the headset microphone for live. Again, I've got Sends on Fader on here. This can stay in the band's ears, but we do not want it in the record mix, so we're going to mute that one. So now we've got two completely independent channels going on here. This one for live, this one for recording. The only thing linking them is the analog gain. So now I can go through and, like I said, the 31 band EQ is not attached to this, which is fine. So I can go through and I can change this EQ with headphones on to whatever's going to sound best for live streaming or for recording, and it will not affect the live channel over here. It can have its own EQ as you want. Same deal, you can compress this a lot more heavily if you want, and you're not going to run into any risk of feedback. So you can have your record one be optimized for online, no issues at all. One final thing that we want to do, as we talked about a few weeks ago, this is a post-fade recording mix. That's important because let's say you've got a dynamic speaker who likes to get real quiet to make a point sometimes and then get real loud in the microphone to make up for that and really just drive a point home. Great for live. Sometimes that's going to cause issues in the studio. But either way, you want to be able to control it. So if I turn this microphone up and down, the live microphone, it's not going to affect the record microphone. If I want to have them both be affected at the same time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a DCA to control both those mics at once. So I already had set up a Pastor's DCA. If I click on the microphone, you can see it'll highlight anything that's affected by that, which the headset microphone is. The the recorded headset one is not, though. So we're going to just click on that. And now we're going to deselect our DCA. You can't see it, but if I turn this fader up and down over here, it's effectively turning up and down both these faders at the same time. This is really important for a good live stream, because if you just mute and unmute, you can't necessarily tell in the room, but online or in your recordings, there's just going to be this flood of ambient sound, because those microphones are omnidirectional microphones and they pick up everything around. So it sounds kind of unnatural when all of a sudden the mic becomes live. Whereas instead, if you don't use your mute, but you use this fader, you can turn things up and down and it will fade into the recording mix. And at the same time, this live microphone is set to post fade for all the band's ears as well. So same deal, they're not going to be hearing the pastor singing along if you turn the microphone on, in the last song. It's only going to be when you start fading in this DCA that signal is going to go to everything, both live, ears, and to your recording feed. So a really cool trick. It makes things a lot easier. You can go through and then use this fader just to level out how loud you want it for the recording mix. But that's it, and you're done. So we hope this has been helpful for you and for your team. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave questions below, or you can email me at techtuesday@ascensionworship.com. And as always, we do take suggestions for future videos. We want this to be a resource that you and your church can get the most out of. So until next time, have a great week. Again, this is Chad from Ascension Worship. I hope this has been helpful for you and your team. Come back here every Tuesday for new information.